Scatterplot review. So we're going to go through this together, see if we have any questions, and I'm going to let you know exactly what your quiz or test will look like tomorrow. And big thing is having your notebook with you. Okay? There's a reason. Told you the whole time to make sure you have everything glued in there. Okay, on number 1, which graph represents... I don't want to be on that. I don't want to be on my OneNote so you guys can see. Sorry. Okay, which graph represents the positive correlation? Dylan, what did you get for this, buddy?
I got C.
C. What is A?
Negative.
Good. Down and to the right, negative. What is B? No correlation. I'd write this on your review because this is what you could be using to study. And then D, nonlinear, as our curve. Awesome. On your test, they're probably going to give you one that you're going to have to identify if it's negative, no correlation, nonlinear, or positive. So, this one was our answer. Good job. Alright, on number 2 it says, Jared collected data on the ages and heights of a random sample of elementary students. If he plots the data on a scatter plot, what relationship will he most likely see between age and height? I would have done this. I would have quickly just drawn this and said, okay, ages and the height. And if I'm thinking of elementary, what do you think will happen? As I get older, what would happen to the height, Dusty? Yeah. So as the kids, we know the kids are going to get older. Eli, my son's in 1st grade. Next year, he might act like a 5-year-old, but he really will be 8 years old. So we're not talking about behavior, we're talking about age. So we know every year you have to be getting older. And they should, as they get older, we should start seeing, as you get older, that you have height. So, that you get taller. So I would assume my scatter plot would look like this. If we're talking about Peanut, my youngest one, he's probably going to be that guy.
Peanut.
Peanut, he's tiny.
Is that his name, Peanut?
No, his name is Jude, but we call him Peanut.
Oh.
And he's always so short.
Yeah, dude.
He even said that the one day, he's like, told someone, he's like, I'm 4 years old. No, for real. I know I'm tiny, but I'm 4. I'm like, oh, little Peanut.
I want a tiny now.
I love that. I know one too.
I want to do this one.
Okay, number 3. Let's see. The graph shows that 8. We went through it, then I didn't answer. The graph shows that 8.
The graph shows the heights of dogs and the age of dogs.
What in the world? Did yours say 8s on your paper?
No, this is heights. I think it's just yours. The graph shows the heights.
So the heights of dogs and the time it took the same dogs to complete the agility course in seconds. Which line so that weird shows the line of best fit for the data?
Yeah, mine's just
Cheyenne, what do you got? C is our correct answer. Can anyone tell me what's wrong with A?
It's not the line of fit.
Good. On A, it's too high up. What's wrong with B then?
Too low.
Too low? What's wrong with C? It's in the middle. Yeah. The biggest thing is, on C, I've had a couple people that have done something similar to it. The reason it's wrong, they said, well, it's in the middle. They said, I have about the same amount of dots in each side. But remember, all the dots have to be as close to the line as possible. So, when we looked at it, our lines were going this way, so my line of fit should go that way. Okay, number 4. Jill wants to know if she's improving on her skill. I don't know why mine's all messed up. I just copied it over. On the cello. She created a scatter plot and drew a line of best fit. If she uses the points 2, 8, and 5, 1.5 from her line, which equation would best represent the line of best fit? This is an important question. because I know this is one of the number one things that we have troubles with, writing the equation of our line of fit. So all these little data points was her tracking. This was like, how long did she practice and how many mistakes did she make? She put them on, and then she drew her line of fit. Now, here's the important thing. To do your equation, once I have my line of fit, remember, you can ignore all your data points. I don't care about them anymore. If I could erase them right now, I would. And I just look at that line. Because you do not want to just choose 2 points from your data. You're choosing 2 points. You're starting on the left, and you should be saying, I'm going to erase this and show you. I should be following this line and saying, okay, where on this line can I stop and say, I know the coordinate? Right here. She said, on this line, I know one of my points is 280. Then she kept following. I don't know the coordinates, don't know the coordinates, don't know the coordinates. Ooh, close, don't know the coordinate, don't know, don't know, don't know, don't know. Oh, this one's halfway. I can identify a halfway one. So 5, 1.5. You follow your line the whole time till you can say, if I stop here on my line, can I tell you what its coordinates are? Now, what do I do with my 2 coordinates? Aiden?
You do y2 minus y1, x2 minus x1.
Awesome. And what does that give me? Kate, what is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1? What does that tell me? Not what is the answer, but what would I get out of that? This is giving me the what?
The slope.
Slope. Very good. We have to get our slope. So, y2 is 1.5 minus y1 is 8. And if you want me to label those so you can look at this and review later, that's okay. Alright. My x's, 5 minus 2. 1.5 minus 8, negative 6.5. 5 minus 2 is 3. I had a number of people come up to me yesterday and go, I think I did something wrong. And I was like, why? They go, I got a negative 6.5. Can my slope, can it be a negative?
Yeah, it's a negative.
Well, look at our correlation. What type of correlation do we have?
Negative.
Negative. So my slope had to be a negative answer. If this would have been positive 6.5, that would have meant my slope was going up 6.5 and over 2. Up and over, up and over. It would have given me a positive correlation. So that would be incorrect. Your slope must match with your correlation. Yes? Well, we can't simplify that.
I thought you could. You could divide it by question 5.
By what? By what? 0.5? They could say 3.5. You could. Okay, did you? So you simplify by 0.5. Usually when we look to simplify, we look by like whole numbers. So if you do by 0.5, you got
13 over 6.
So all you did really was you made your slope a bigger number. 13 over 6. So I get what you did, and it would be okay because it's equivalent to it. So it's alright. But if we have decimals, usually we're going to just simplify by making it a smaller fraction. So this is my slope. And slope is what variable? M. Okay. What else do I have to find then? Y-intercept. So we get a guess. I'm going to look here. We're estimating probably right around this area. I'm going to say they're going up by 2, so 10, 12. I'm going to say it's at about 14. A couple people said 13. They thought it was more right there. That's okay. Remember, we're estimating with our Y. Next year, math, you're going to find out how you put it in the equation and get exactly what Y would be, or what B would be. Then, I go for my answer. Y equals mx plus b. And we know that y and x always stay put. And then we just input it. What was M.
Negative 6.5 over 3.
So I'd have y equals negative 6.5 divided by 3x,
And then you add 14.
and then plus 14. So if you want to do it in the same color so it looks nice, honestly, finding the equation is the hardest one that we've been doing, and it's actually really, really simple.
It's easy.
Point at 2 points, find your slope, estimate your y. Okay? Okay, number 5. The table below shows the cost of flying from San Francisco to other cities in the U.S. There's a relationship between the distance you are flying and the cost of your plane ticket. One of those two, I want this. Yeah. Eden, start working through this one.
On the board?
Yep.
That's on the paper. Oh, okay.
I'm on the board, you're being recorded for it.
You got it, and then relax.
You're gonna screw up.
Bro, probably. Well, first read the question, bud.
You're gonna choke the play.
Okay. Alright, so you gotta draw a line of best fit and pick 2 good points for the table that are on your line.
You go, please. I always do it with the teacher going back.
Oh my god, shut up. Oh my god.
I love when the voice goes towards the board instead of it makes your voice really clear.
Hey, you can read the problem out loud. Bro, no.
Working through it. Okay, you guys understand what it is he's looking through?
Better handwriting, please.
You shut up, Brett.
Garbage.
What?
Such a side.
You see that?
Sorry, more session. You're blocking the equation.
Alright, so did you explain how did you do it?
No. No.
Explain it to him.
Okay, so you gotta do y2 minus y1, so that's 200 minus 150. You gotta do x2 minus x1, which is 1000 minus 500, and then you get 50 over 500. And then you have to divide by 2, so it's 25 over 250. And then that's your slope, so then you do 20. Y equals 25 over 250 x plus 50.
So can
What? Where are you guys going? What? Well, that's your fault. No. It was
Alright, class, today we're going to be going through this.
Probably gonna be wrong.
First of all, let's draw a line of.
I don't care.
What the?
What's wrong with the line?
Alright, bros.
There are any points
Alright,
on
here.
your line of shift.
I'll take over. We're gonna do it.
Where?
Thank you, though. Have a seat. Nora, have a seat, please.
Oh,
It's
Sit for now.
You're on
Okay.
the side.
Says, the table below shows the sale for a flower company for the years 2007 through 2012. Answer the given questions about this table. So A, graph the data on the scatter plot and draw the line of best fit. So the first thing we have to do is we have to graph this. Now, if you look in your foldable, how do we graph? The first thing we have to do is decide on our scale. It's not there. We have the year 2000, and if I'm paying attention over here, it says, let X represent the years since 2000. So, if this is 0, this is 0, and 2007. The next year would be 1. This would be 2, 3, 4, 5. We're seeing 5 years from 2007 would be the year 2012. Now, I need to have 5 for my x, and I have 12 lines. What I'm going to go ahead and do, just to kind of help move this on, is even though I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I know I'm going to be there, but in case I have to do an interpretation, that's why it's okay to have the extra lines. After you make your scale, you need to tell me, what is this? This is years since 2007. Make sure your label says all that. If you just said years, I'm going to take a point off because we're not in year 1 or year 2 or year 3. We're in 2008, 2009, and so on. If you did not put a label, you will lose points. So you have to make sure you're labeling on these. How do I find what my y-axis should be? I have 305, 330, 345, 370, 395, 420. How do we find out what my scale should be?
Define high and low.
Good. There's a couple ways we could do it. One, I could just decide on my scale and say I'm going to go up by 50s. But remember, when we do a scatter plot, we want to use as much of the area as we can. So we find the high number, which was 420, and my low was 305. And I'm going to subtract the two. So 420 minus 305 is 115. That is our range. Evan? We have 12 lines. So you divide your range, and I think this one came out to like 9.5.
9.583.
Okay. Now, are we going to? Yeah, we're going to round it. So I'm going to say my scale is going to be 10. Do I start with 10 here?
Nope.
Very good. Lowest number, 305. Do your squiggly. Now, for me, I'm going to erase this so I can write 305. Now, I don't like having all the numbers. I really don't like having too many numbers, so I'm going to skip. And I'll show you how I do it. You could write 315 here, but instead of writing down, I'm just going to go, that's 315, so this is 325, 335, 345, 355, 365, 375, 385, 395, 405, 415. Okay. And this is sales in the thousands. We then have to have a title of our graph. Our title, our sales. And then we have to plot the points. What, you want to do it?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so in 0, 305. That'd be there. 330 in year 1. So here's 225. We're going up by 10, so halfway would be 5. 345. 370.
Oh, sales thousands.
Yeah, it's hard for me, right? I just wrote on my y-axis, it's this. Sales in thousands. Year 4 was 395. And year 5 was 420. So we're right off the chart. And this is our scatter plot. Now, write an equation for the line of best fit. We still have to draw our line of fit. So I'm going to say mine should be, oh man, I thought it was on this thing. Alright. My line of fit, I'm going to say right about there. Now, what is the first thing? Jordan, do you remember when I have to do my... Okay, when I have to do my line of fit, Jordan, do you remember what's the first thing I have to do? Now I got my line of fit to do my equation. What's the first thing I have to find?
Wait, don't you start off in 2007 and then you go?
What? Hold on, let Jordan answer this, then I'll answer your question. Those thingies, what thingies? Good, I have to find 2 points. Now what was your question, Evan?
You have to start off on like 2007 instead of just 1.
Well, I had to start 2007. I got one right there, 0.
How did you get that? I don't know.
Because in 2007, how many years have passed since 2007 if I'm in 2007? 0. Yeah. I was watching something. Alright, so we have to find 2 points. If I look at this, I'm looking for 2 points I know on this line. First, I'm looking for a really easy one. And, oh man, I don't get a really easy one. So now I'm going to look through my line again and look for one that's halfway through somewhere.
Pink.
Oh, good. What a nice line of fit I did. This one I would say would work. Oh. You can do right here.
What about the one that is literally right in the middle?
More. Oh, that one?
Yeah.
We can do that one. So let's do that. I'm going to say my 2 points are... Oh. I'm going to use that one. I like that. So I'm going to use these two. So my first one is 0 and 305, so 310. My second point is 1 and 330. Okay, I'm going to scroll over there. We have to find our slope. So, x, y, x2, y2. 330 minus 310 over 1 minus 0. What is my slope?
It would be 1. Wait, 40 over 2. No, it's. Wait, no. It's different numbers.
20 over, not 0,
Over 1.
over 1. 1 minus 0 is still 1. So my slope is
20.
just 20. My equation is y equals 20x, because that's my slope. But what's my y-intercept?
3.
Huh. The y-intercept is actually kind of what we used right there. The one that went in the half, which was 310. It's one of the biggest y-intercepts that we've seen, but there's no difference. It's just because of what my scale was, Aiden. So, I see I crossed my y-axis at 310. According to your equation, in what year will sales reach about 500 and 1,000? Here's the trick. Sales. Is that my x or my y? Sales in thousands. Is that on my x-axis or my y-axis?
Y.
It's my y. Our other practice, we were always looking at the x. We had that. So on this one, we're saying instead of y equals 20x plus 310,
And we have to use.
we're going to use 500 for my y. And then we solve the equation. We only have one variable. We're going to solve for x. So I'm going to minus 310. And that's 190 equals 20x. We divide by 20. And this will come out to x equals 9.5. So I could say my answer is either, you could say 9.5 years, or if you want to leave it as a decimal, that's okay. If you went ahead and you rounded and you said, in about 10 years, I'd be okay with that as well. But the reason I went with 9.5 is because, can I have a half a year? Yeah, this one's different than what I said, loads of laundry. Well, can I be doing half the load? I either put a load in or I didn't. So this one, you could say 9.5 years, or if you round to 10. This is the last 1, 2 thing. Alright, this was our last big one.
We don't have that one.
Here's,
We don't have that one.
We don't have that one.
was that the last one we did?
Yeah.
Oh, I know why. Because on your review, I was going to put this on, and then we decided not to give you too much. We wanted this. Okay, so that's everything on our review, right? Here's my question for you. Overall, to be honest, those that are participating well made me feel really good. Especially the hardest part is the equation, and you guys seem to be doing pretty well. What is it that you need to review, or any questions that you have? Interpreting? What's confusing on interpreting?
How do we start off with just confusing? Everything is confusing, it's like.
So if I look at interpreting real quick, let's look at, actually I'm going to pull this up to help you, because we still have just a little bit of time. If I look at what we did with family size and the laundry load. Evan, turn around please. Okay, you're telling me the interpreting. So when they ask you a question, here's the biggest thing I can tell you. The biggest thing when they interpret is do this. When they ask a question, and you have to answer about, well, what would this be based off your scatterplot? First, ask yourself two things. Is this a visual, or do I have to use my equation? And what I mean by that is this first one. When we said, how many loads would a family of 8 have? So I'm going to look at my scatterplot and say, can I see where 8 is? Yes. So if you can, you follow that line to your line of fit. And wherever it crosses your line of fit, you find the other coordinate. So like on this one, the family of 8, we would have followed my line of fit. I would have followed 8. Here's 8. I would have went up to where it crossed my line of fit. If it crossed it right about here, I go over, and my answer was 17. The second question asked was a family of 13. Do I see that on my graph? That's where the equation that you wrote, that you said you understand how to write the equation. So that's where you take the equation, you write out, and family size is 13. That's on my x-axis. So if I took my equation, I'm just going to make it up. Let's say it was y equals 2x plus 5. If I said my x, family size was 13, I would substitute out x. Because x is representing x coordinate, I'm saying it's 13. We write 2 times 13 plus 5. That's 26. 26 plus 5 is 31. So that means my y coordinate going up my graph would have been 31. Okay, here's what I need you to do for me. We're done. Thank you. You guys did really well, especially with what we had to deal with some other classroom helping out. Test is tomorrow. Review this. If you have any questions, come talk to me. I can help you find any other ones that we need.